We have fun in here. So I know I'm here. Councilmember Cap is not here. Councilmember Easlick. Councilmember Ewing's going to be late. Councilmember Gadd present. Vice Chair Vo is present. And Councilmember Welsh is present. Thank you so very much for you all being here and on time. I love it. I would like to remind us all as we get ready to go into conversation that we're going to raise our hands when we want to ask questions so we don't blurt because we all get excited in here. Okay, so, how many resolutions do we have today? Okay, one resolution and two bills on second reading. So I would like to just go ahead and I don't have any on consent. So are we all good if I just get started with reading resolutions? Awesome sauce. Okay, our first one up is RS 2024-216, Porterfield, Welsh, Allen, and others approves a child and adult care food program grant application and accepting a CACFP grant from the Tennessee Department of Human Services to the Metropolitan Parks and Recreation Department to provide nutritious meals and snacks for children and adults attending after-school programs in 14 community centers. Can I get a motion? I looked right at you. I just knew what you were going to do. Can I get a second? Okay. Oh, McGillicuddy.
Y'all approved this at the last meeting. This should not be on the.
Oh,
It's just a withdrawal. It's a withdrawal. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
Don't look at me. It's somehow it got there. It's a different number too. I don't know how.
I was like, we did this.
I was like, I'm just gonna keep going. Someone will tell me if I need to. Thanks, Roden. This is why we keep
She do too. I don't know how it happened. She might.
former council members around.
I'm trying to blame her. I don't know how that happened.
Okay, bills on second reading. BL 2024-157, Allen Vocash and Evan Siegel amends ordinance BL 2019-11 to modify the requirements for the Rose Park Advisory Group. It says that there's a letter to approve. Okay. Councilmember Allen says that she might be late and she is asking for approval, and I am going to ask. Move. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny, for doing your job. Second? Awesome sauce. Okay, any discussion? I have a question. Yes. Can you please tell me what are, talk to me about the requirements.
Oh, yeah. Basically, for this, it's just modifying how often the advisory group meets. And so it's just allowing them to, if they need to meet more or less, but at a minimum twice a year.
Gotcha.
And then because of the district changes, there used to be representatives from District 17, 18, and 19. We have removed 19 completely because they're not in the footprint, but due to the relationship, we kept, it's all in 17, but we kept one representative from 18.
Understood. Does anyone else have any other questions? Thank you for that thorough explanation. Okay. Then in that case, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Motion passes. Our next bill is BL 2024-158. Councilmembers Cap, Porterfield, Welsh, and others approves a lease agreement between the Metropolitan Government and Friends of Shelby Park, a Tennessee nonprofit corporation, for the Naval Building and Grounds in Shelby Park.
Move. Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay.
I'm supportive of this, but love if you have questions. I know we've got the executive director here.
Having met with the executive director, and here arrives Councilmember Cap. Your bill is
Right on
front and center.
All right.
So, would you like to share with the group so they can hear? I think
Yes.
I know many of us are signed on already.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that, and I want to just recognize Friends of Shelby and the Arts and Business Council for being here, and they can answer some questions as well. The Naval Building, if you know, like on Davidson Street, if you're headed into Shelby Park, up the hill, it's a Naval Reserve training facility. It was built in the 50s, and it was used by the Naval Reserve until 2009 or something like that, and then they didn't want to use the facility anymore, so it's the cities, it belongs to Parks. And it's, fallen into disrepair, and it's been sort of a prominent issue in District 6 for a long time, this beautiful building in a great location that we're not really using. And so Friends of Shelby long time ago, had what I think is a really visionary idea to rehabilitate this building. And they're proposing to lease it from the city and the land around it, rebuild the building. They've formed a partnership with the Arts and Business Council that I think supplies something really important for the city and for the district. And the vision for the building is to use some of it as performance space, maybe some like park-related retail, coffee shop, kayak rental, something like that, and then maker space for artists and makers along what I think used to be the main axis of the building, which I believe used to be dormitories for naval reservists. And my district is really, really excited about the potential. We've had great community engagement, including 2 public meetings. One was just last week, another was in December, where we've had, I don't know, the first meeting, I would say at least 150 people there with almost uniform enthusiasm, and similar last week at Kirkpatrick Community Center. So would love to answer questions that y'all have, but I will say that I am really, really enthusiastic and excited about this potential partnership. It's going to be a great gateway to the park, excellent amenity for not just District 6, but really for the whole region.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for your elevator pitch. I would like to hear from Arts and Business and Friends of Shelby, just like expound a little bit more on how it came to be and more specifics of what is going to be there and how it speaks to the need for the city, not just District 6, but overall.
Yeah. So I'm Rebecca Rotz. I'm the Executive Director for Friends of Shelby Park and Bottoms. And we've been exploring as an organization this particular project since 2020. The Metro Parks Department had a few fits and starts with trying to renovate the building, but nothing ever really stuck. And so we worked actually with the Center for Nonprofit Management for about a 9-month process to develop a wholesale business plan of what would this model be for redevelopment, what's the construction costs look like, what's the operating model long term. And as part of that, we set mission goals. And those mission goals are really all based around the community and involving the community in this building. And I think one of the reasons that some of the previous endeavors failed was because they were more privately focused. And our goal as the nonprofit devoted to the betterment of this park is to make sure that this building is accessible by the community. So as Councilman Kapp alluded to, there's kind of a mix of uses in the building, and all of those through our partnership will be available to the public at reduced rates. So one of the big things that we're looking for in this building is affordability. Whether you're an artist renting a studio, whether you're an artist or a community member renting a specific creative development space like a photography studio or something like that, or meeting rooms or event space, or you're getting something at the new restaurant, that we want it all to be affordable and easily accessible, just like the larger park. I mean, one of the amazing things about Shelby Park and Bottoms and all of our park system across the city is that it's free, and that it's a place where no matter what your background, is a place where you feel welcome. And so we want this building to really embody what the park system is. And, you know, then kind of filling out the building, we'd always had this idea that, okay, well, we want to have these accessible spaces, and maybe it's office space, and then the partnership with Arts and Business Council, which isn't technically part of the lease that y'all are looking at today, but long-term, it does talk about, you know, that we will be able to sublease space, and having Arts and Business Council as our main partner in that programming is really important, again, because they share our mission goals of creating accessible and affordable space for Nashville citizens.
Yeah, so I can talk about where we come into this a little bit. My name is Jill McMillan-Palm. I'm the Executive Director of the Arts and Business Council, and we do every 2 years something called the Creative Economy Survey, which looks at the needs of Nashville artists across all disciplines, whether you are a musician, a visual artist, a poet, dancer, theater performer, everything in between. And in 2019, we started to see a pretty steep rise in the need for affordable spaces for artists, for them to not only develop their work, but present it to the public as well. So we started looking at case studies in other cities of what an affordable arts incubator could look like. So that's what we kind of termed it. And doing all these case studies and looking at warehouses and churches and all these different kind of private development spaces that we could do here in Nashville. But because the cost of commercial real estate is so high for nonprofits, it was really hard for us to get a capital campaign off the ground. So a little over a year ago, Rebecca and I started talking about the opportunity at the Naval Building and how we wanted, our desire really from the beginning was for not just an arts incubator, but for an arts and community incubator, because we think that's where a lot of cool innovation happens when you get artists around, not only other artists, but the community at large. And so it seemed like a perfect fit, and we started working on this a little over a year ago and made the announcement in November and have gotten really positive feedback ever since.
Thanks. Councilmember Welsh.
Thank you. How large is that building actually? It's very difficult to tell when you drive by how big it is for all the things you're talking about.
It is,
going on.
and if you do go back, when we sent out a packet information, we also sent a video. So that's a really good way to just see inside the building if you go back and take a look at that video. But it's about 26,000 square feet now.
Wow.
And then with an addition that we're planning, it'll go to about 28,000 square feet. Almost 29.
Almost 29,
Almost
yeah.
29,000 square feet.
And how much of that space do you feel like will be dedicated to actually artists as opposed to like restaurant or other kind of things?
I haven't done that breakdown.
I haven't done that math. But so the way the building is kind of set up, currently it's an F shape. So you have the prow of the ship, the addition that was made a little earlier, or a little later after the building was constructed, and then you have kind of the spine along the back, along Naval Hill. We're planning an addition on the east side, so that will likely be the restaurant and to-go food, kind of by the parking towards the Vinnie Links golf course. And then the rest of the kind of existing building will be artist and community space. So we have an architect, we're working with Centric Architecture, and we're kind of in the middle of plans right now. So we've had our 2 community meetings, and we're gonna go into a series of focus groups with different disciplines, so visual art, photography, theater, dance, performing arts. We have about 4 focus groups scheduled to kind of look at the different needs of all these disciplines and see how we can prioritize those spaces, because there will also be some nonprofit administrative space for both of our organizations as well as other arts nonprofits that we will lease out to the event space. And then
But to your question kind of about publicly accessible, I'll just add, right, that the event space, while it will be able to be used for arts performances and exhibits and things like that, it'll also be available to the community. So it's a flexible space that can be used for the arts and for other types of events or community gatherings. And then there's 2 different rehearsal halls that we're calling them so far, but they're also being designed to be meeting rooms and to be where a neighborhood group can come in and rent it out. It's soundproofed, yes, so that it can also be arts, but we're designing everything to be as flexible as possible so that it can be used by the community at large.
Great. Yeah. Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any other questions? I'm excited about this project, to see what it looks like. So with that being said, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Okay, no abstentions, awesome sauce. Passes, 8 in favor, 0 against. Okay, well, so we talked before the beginning of the term about what objectives we had for this year to figure out in terms of arts, libraries, parks, where were the needs? And one of the needs that you may have, okay, and one of the needs that we have noticed is municipal auditorium. It is long time in need of some refurbishing, and it looks like there are people that are interested in doing that work. And so today we actually have the chair of the municipal auditorium board to speak with us about that project and what that can look like. And I think I've met with him before, and also the people that are interested. I think you all are going to enjoy this.
Those numbers you said.
Are you going to shush him too?
Yeah. I'm just gonna wait till he looks at me, and then I have to say it.
Still me.
Thank you, my dear Roden. Thank you.
Excellent. Way to move.
See, this is what happens when you get Rosenberg and.
It was all him, I didn't say a word.
It's troublesome. Okay. So with that, I would very much like to introduce you to Blake McDaniel, who is the chair of the Municipal Auditorium Board.
So I'm Blake McDaniel. I'm chair of the Municipal Auditorium Commission. Been on the commission for about 8 years now. Just to give you some history of Municipal Auditorium, Municipal Auditorium has a rich history of amazing artists that have performed there throughout the years. Everyone from Bob Dylan to the Rolling Stones to Michael Jackson played there with the Jackson 5 at one point in time. And so it's really amazing. And when I got put on the commission itself 8 years ago, we had gone through, I think, 20 years at operating at a deficit. I have been in the live music space for almost 25 years. It'll be actually 24 in March. Crazy. So when I got on there, I'm in the for-profit area. And so when I had learned that we were operating 20 years at a deficit, it just wasn't okay. And so we started making efforts to change that, turn that around. I had a vision of eventually bringing Municipal Auditorium to prominence, as was done with the Ryman at one point in time. And so we started that. Journey. First thing we did is we went in and we redid the ticketing deal, which was much more profitable for us on that end. And they came up with what's called a preferred promoter agreement, which means a big promoter can come in, write a check, and then have a special deal inside there, rent-free, special deals with merch, etc. And our theory was business begets business. You know, the more concerts we can put in there, the more concerts will be put in there. And because it wasn't an exclusive deal, but rather a preferred promoter deal, that preferred promoter would put in shows. It would bring other promoters as well to bring in shows. And so we were hoping year one we would get our feet underneath us. Year two, maybe we operate, break even, hopefully, fingers crossed. Year three, we'll go into first year of profits. And so we put an RFP out there, we negotiated a deal, we ended up negotiating the deal with Live Nation. First year of the deal, we were in profits for the first time in 2 decades. And we have been operating at increased profits ever since then. We got to the point where we re-engaged Live Nation again on the deal 2 years ago. We started negotiating with them. After about 9 months, we came up to another deal, a better deal, where we would actually be able to share in profits above a certain split point. The split point that we had built in the first deal was pretty high, and we never hit that because we were coming to everyone with a hat in our hand, basically. But after we showed some success in that room, we were able to negotiate a better deal, and we went into splits within the first 6 months of the deal. So now we've got our business in order over there. We've got an amazing group, 2 co-GMs that are doing an amazing job. We've got a great staff over there. We had to do some staffing changes and adjustments. We did that. And so we're running basically a seamless organization. Now it's time to take it to the next level and do some major renovations and bring it up into the national prominence that we think we can achieve. So over the last several years, we had started conversations with different entities to see what interest was out there. Of course, the pandemic put basically a pause button on that. And then most recently, we have engaged in conversations with a group called the Venue Group, TVG. TVG is a venue management group, but they're also into building venues from scratch, coming in and renovating venues. The closest one and best example of what they can do is probably the Orion Amphitheater in Huntsville. And they've done an amazing job. If you get a chance to go down there and see a show, you should. It's a beautiful place. To be quite honest with you, I wasn't really positive about what kind of success they would make, but they exceeded my expectations in a big way. So we've had a couple of very preliminary light conversations so they can kind of check out the venue itself. They've done a 1 or 2 tours of it and have come up with some ideas. Like I said, started initial conversations with several people within the city, some stakeholders here and there, just to kind of test the waters. And then I think we're about to get to the point where we're going to really see what a deal would look like and how we can move forward with it. But, of course, we want to go through proper protocol, whatever that is. And I'm not an expert on proper protocol. I'm an expert on the live music business. So, Councilmember Stiles had asked me to come and just give you a lay of the land, let you know what we've done up to this point in time, let you know what could be ahead and coming, just so when we started moving forward and whatever that looks like, you all would know what's happening, and it wouldn't be blindsiding you in any way, shape, or form, and you could have a chance to do your due diligence with us as we do it together. And then if you have any questions, concerns, et cetera, as we go through this process, you can go ahead and put them out on the table with us, and we can go ahead and address them as they come up. So that's it. If you have any questions for me, any comments, anything, I'm all game.
Yes, Councilmember Ewing.
Thank you. I'm just curious about TVG and if they would be a long-term partner, and the comfort level you have with them being that kind of forever married partner, or is it just a short-term deal where they get their cut and make back whatever they need to make on top of what they invested and then they're gone?
Very good question. So we haven't gotten to the particulars of it, but I can tell you what I think it would look like. Mm-hmm. They are wanting to come in, and I've told them, look, anything less than $30 million just doesn't make sense, I don't think. Mm-hmm. If we're going to do it, we need to do it right. And they're fine with that. They're okay with that number. But in a scenario where they're putting $30 million in renovations on anything at all, they're going to have a long time period in order to get that return back on their investment. Mm-hmm. So we've discussed a little bit of what that could look like and what we're concerned with. I'm concerned with the staff over there. We've got an amazing staff. I don't like the idea of TVG coming in and replacing our staff, okay? So that's one of the questions. That's really one of the top priorities with me first, is to make sure that we're all on the same page about that. Yeah. And they answered that concern by saying, look, you all have figured out how to do an amazing business with what you have. We just want to replace your, clunker car with a Ferrari, and then see how fast you can go, which is great. But, until we get into the deal and understand what that looks like and what their promises are, that sounds great, but we'll see. So there's that. They do want to come in and figure out the management of it as well, and kind of help tweak some areas of management. Part of running a live venue is figuring out other revenue streams other than ticket sales. So you have concessions, and you can maximize some revenue streams from concessions itself. From our initial talks, and I've said this for a while, is the most valuable thing about municipal auditoriums is location, right? It's in an incredible location. And so how do we monetize that footprint? And that's the question that I've been asking them, that we've been ideating on.
Well, in the history, too.
In the history as well. You're exactly right. So we have the Musicians Hall of Fame down in there, which is great. It's phenomenal. We've got the Grammy Museum down there as well, which is awesome. But there's some space up there that could be used. And part of this conversation is, do we build a restaurant? Do we take some of these areas that open up to the outside, maybe the north ticketing booth, if you know what I'm talking about, on the, not north, west, the west side? The west side of the municipal auditorium.
That's on
so you have the main, correct, you have the main ticketing booth with the marquee, then on the other side you have another one. Well, could we renovate that into maybe a sandwich shop or a cafe or something like that? So that way, we have ways to keep the revenue coming in, and we're servicing the public downtown as well. Mm-hmm. So those are some ideas that they have, and they're very smart in doing that. So that's kind of the conversations we've been having. I don't know that we've gotten too far along to know exactly what the model would look like. But,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Councilmember Bo, did I see? I'm sorry, not Bo. I'm looking at Councilmember Gad.
Yeah.
And then me. Okay. And then Vice Chair Bo.
Thank you so much for being here and your presentation. It's great to hear this. A couple of questions, so I'll get them both out and see what we have time to ask if we need to go into a Councilmember Bo. But so I would love to know a little bit if you got any idea what the time frame is. You've talked about the plans and what could be coming, and if you have years on those, of months or dates of any kind of what you're expecting. And then second of all, the venue itself is one that is obviously publicly owned and involved, and so I love the idea of thinking about how you can maximize the use of it in order to include the revenue, but also thinking about what else is in our live music scene that actually needs attention, whether that's the small independent artists. I mean, are you doing promotions? It sounds like you got a preferred promoter list. And so some of our historically owned live music venues are no longer owned by independent venue owners.
Absolutely.
And so it
Very
seems
well aware.
like city should be looking at filling that gap of how we're making sure we're actually providing something to folks that are here in the city of musicians, and just wondering if that's a part of the calculation or inclusion we think about how it also publicly serves our venue. So those are two questions about timeline and other uses.
Very good question, by the way. First question, I would think timeline construction, they're not going to do, most of what they're going to do from what they've said is not going to be, it's going to be aesthetics, if that makes sense. So they're not going to have to tear down anything, put anything up. That being the case, the timeline would be much shorter than it would be from building something from scratch. So hoping a year and a half possibly to get something like that done. And a lot of this depends on, and when it gets started, depends on like this process that we're about to go through, okay? So 2 years maybe until ribbon cutting? Maybe?
Well, and I can follow up with questions about thinking through process timing. 'Cause I'm
Yes.
curious of when money's gonna come here.
we'll-
So I can
we'll-
follow that
yep.
individually, though.
Okay.
That could be a later conversation, you and I,
Yes,
via
yes,
email.
yes.
The second part, if we've got time
I will
to,
let Chair Vogt, because you've asked to, let.
Do you want me to answer the
Vice Chair
second one
Vogt.
really quickly?
Yes,
though?
okay.
The one
Yeah.
about the
And then
live
we'll
music? Because you're exactly right. There are a lot of, I mean, early on, I was going to these, independent venues, and now, like you say, they're being bought up by larger entities. I have not thought about that, and that is a great point. Maybe we put in some sort of club that we can close off, that's, 300 capacity club that could service, as you say, some of the local musicians. I have not thought about that. That's a great idea. I will inject that into the conversation for sure. Thank you.
Vice Chair Vogt.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks so much, Blake, for coming and talking to us about municipal. I was wondering also, could you share information about the diversity and what kind of acts that you bring, and then what the goals are, overall, as you've been successful, and then what are other areas of improvement? And then I was curious, with the renovations, will that then halt any performances, and what does that do with the contract that you have with your preferred vendor? I was just wondering how that was all gonna work.
Very good question. First question, diversity. Because it's a rental facility, we have to depend on the promoters themselves to bring the acts in. We can't really dictate because we're not paying them. We're not paying the artists. So, I would say if you look at the lineup over the last several years, I would say there's a diverse spectrum of acts that are on there. I would like to see a little more in the Latino area, to be quite honest with you. I think that's a need nationally, to be quite honest with you. And I think a lot of the major companies are seeing that, and they're seeing that there's a business there, and they're moving towards that. But as far as R&B, black artists, rap, hip hop, that's usually a place that I would say there are probably as many artists from that genre that play there as any other place. I could be wrong, but I don't have those demos in front of me, unfortunately.
Right, and that's why if you could share that, I think that'd be great. And I know you don't dictate, but I think coming from the organization in our city in supporting that and pushing for it, it won't happen unless we make that known. So,
I agree. We should tell them it's important to us, 100%. Yes.
and second question, but
You have a second question? Go ahead.
well, no, the question I was asking about
Oh, yes.
your preferred vendor, if there won't be any shows during renovation, because you were saying it won't be.
Yeah.
It'll.
We will have to halt shows for a while, and it may be that we have to halt that contract for a particular period of time, and then pick it back up and then finish the extension on it.
And then that made me think, what will happen with staff? So that's why it was just a whole question.
Staff will be paid during that time period.
Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions before I jump in? Okay, so I sat and met with Chair McDaniel. I've also met with Ryan Murphy of TVG, who did the design work for the Orion. I would suggest, if anyone is in the mood and feels like taking a ride down to Huntsville, it is well worth the 90 minutes. What they've done on the site where Orion actually is, it is an outdoor amphitheater, the likes of anything you would not imagine to be in Huntsville. It is tremendous, and had an opportunity to tour that facility. The space that it's in is something called the Midlands. So in addition to having Orion, is also kind of a community space with shopping and retail and housing. I am very much supportive of TVG and this opportunity. As you know, if you've seen, and you're already aware of this, we have sole source contracts versus doing an RFP process. And usually if it's a sole source, we have reasons why we're doing it that make sense, whether it's for timing, whether, relationships. And I can say I would feel very comfortable with a sole source. I was hoping Ryan would be able to be here so you guys could meet him, because he actually has a rendering of what municipal could look like. And I would love for everyone to be able to see that. I think for me, because we have been so negligent about municipal auditorium as a city, that to not take advantage of an opportunity that's in front of us where people want to, raise the money and work with us. And I think we've seen how many departments are suffering when we don't know what the problem is, or if we don't make their problem our priority. I think municipal is a great opportunity. And when we did our CIBs in the fall, I did ask if we could include some money set aside to do, let's say, a feasibility study to get the ball rolling for municipal, whatever this looks like. So just wanted to let you know, as we're doing our CIBs now, that is there. So we can consider that. I think Mr. McDaniel has done a tremendous job with turning municipal into a money-making entity, which it was not. And I think it struggles. It's hard even if you're saying, hey, rent our venue, when you go inside and you can't hear if you're not sitting 2 feet away from the stage. You're sitting in the back and it's nothing but echoes and muffles. And even if it's your favorite group, you're like, oh, I love their dance moves, yet I can hear none of the lyrics. I know I went to a concert a few years ago and I was like, I can't come back here ever again. Not until we get it together. So imagine that we let this renovation take place, and not only do we have our residents again supporting the history, but then we've got people coming from outside counties and outside the state to a new municipal auditorium. And that just helps us, as we talk about arts and the revenues that are made from arts, this is a no-brainer.
Can I also say,
By all
too,
means.
renovations will also allow promoters to bring more acts and bigger acts and
Exactly.
high-profile artists in there, because they're going to look at it as a completely different entity. Before the Ryman did their renovations, they were having a hard time bringing artists in there. And then someone with vision, who happened to be on the private side, came in and did the renovations. And now it's often cited as one of the top venues in the world, and definitely in the nation. And I think we can do the same thing with Municipal Auditorium, especially given the history that's there. So, like you said, it makes it better for the people who are attending the concerts to have a better experience in there, but it also allows promoters to be able to bring in bigger artists and more artists in there as well.
Councilmember Gadd, did you have another
question? It's not a question.
Oh, go
it's just
ahead.
a comment. Just thinking about how we fund, and knowing that it's going to be a $30 million just from TVG investment, if I heard that correctly, assuming that we'll have some bill to pay. Have there been any, with the history of Municipal Auditorium and with all the acts that have gone through there, has there been any friends of Municipal Auditorium groups set up to help with offset with some of the raising those private dollars to help with the funding?
No, that's their job. That's TVG's job.
TVG runs Friends group or a separate, raising money for?
They're gonna go out in the private equity market, and they're going to raise the money and bring it here. I'm an agent, I do,
Yeah.
and I'm in this scenario, I'm representing the city and I'm representing Municipal Auditorium. And even though I like TVG Group, I don't represent them. And so it's gonna be their job to raise the money to bring it in. It's gonna be their job to get the money out of it as well. And so, in my mind, I would like for the city to maybe do a feasibility study, a financial study, maybe an engineering study. But outside of that, I mean, we are gonna own the facility, and it's gonna be TVG's job to raise the money, which they can do, they absolutely can do that.
I think I'd just love to learn more about TVG, especially,
Absolutely.
in the private equity.
100%.
learning.
I will try and see if, because he was unable to come today, have him come to the next meeting
Or just
so we
send
can follow up on
information
this.
so then we can
I think
follow
you
up.
need, well, in the same way, sitting and listening to Mr. McDaniel, you need to hear from Ryan and hear like
for
that.
sure.
And
Absolutely.
see
He
the
could-
contracts and understand why it's the sole source is the way to go. I mean, just be interesting to see who else is.
That's
learn
fair.
more.
That's fair. Yeah, knowing a little bit about what their,
It's a model thing that I'd like to learn more about, and that can be done by email as well. I mean,
Okay.
happy to, whatever the chair wants to do with having you
absolutely.
present.
Yeah, but my point is, I don't know that, the way I'm viewing this, I don't know that we're gonna have to go separately and help raise money themselves. I think it's gonna be on TVG's.
That's great. So it sounds like there's no cost to the
That's-
city.
Exactly,
there
that's the
isn't.
way I'm trying to make
There
it.
isn't. When I
You're right,
met
yeah.
with them,
Fair enough.
it
that's fair.
sounds weird, but I will tell you this, and I had this happen come up last term.
It's just-
Sometimes, and I think we're jaded, sometimes they are, but sometimes they're not. Have you not had things in your own life where it seemed too good to be true, but actually worked out and was an even better situation than you envisioned? I can say that that's happened. I get nervous. I'm not saying that they're all the time. I'm not saying that
Thank you for those questions, because you may be finding a blind spot that I have, right?
Or I may not.
So please ask those questions, and maybe, or
Sometimes
maybe
it's
not.
just, and this is also posed to me, I mean, just understanding the model.
Totally.
And that's just something that's
Absolutely.
foreign to me, which doesn't mean that it's not the right thing.
Okay, that's fair, absolutely fair.
So I will ask Ryan or Graham, they actually are partners together. Oh, yes, Council
I just have,
Member
this might be a
Welch.
silly question, but this is going to stay municipal auditorium, right? No naming rights, no anything that we.
As of now, no, that hasn't been discussed.
Kotex feminine hygiene.
Stop it. Why is that your choice? That's your
Oh my
example.
God, I
of what it
would
could
love
be.
that.
There's
We can
actually
get
I was
the
thinking Marlboro.
What's
Anybody
wrong?
here from
Nothing
Marlboro
wrong with that.
cigarettes?
I would love
I
a
can't.
Kotex. Oh my God,
What
that'd be great.
happened?
I'm for
And
that.
like pay for all of our period products
I'm
in all of
just
our schools and
envisioning the
libraries.
signage.
Okay, deviating tremendously.
No,
What just
that's
happened?
library. I just talked about
Sorry,
library.
we've gone off the rails.
Welcome to the Arts Committee.
Well, it's
That's a good
also,
point.
It's an untapped market.
It
also
may
a
be,
committee
naming
that
rights may
has
be part of
over-
it too, and
yeah.
they may need to do that in
it'd
order
just
to
be
get their
good
money
to be aware of it, and we are
Okay.
obviously a committee that oversees public facilities like municipal auditorium, as well as
Absolutely.
libraries, greenways, and parks.
Absolutely.
Did you have another question? Oh, you just stretching? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just talking.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Gotcha. So I really appreciate you coming in because we are getting ready to go into budget. We are starting to look at like our capital improvement budget for our district. So it's almost time to talk about our individual budget wish lists and being able to say as a committee, what are the things that we've identified that we want to try and push for as we go into the budget season to fight for. I know, I believe it's $1 million we have set aside for a feasibility study on the CIB list. So now we play Hunger Games and hopefully get it into,
I'm so looking forward to this.
first iteration of the budget.
Okay.
So crazy.
Yes. Yes, Vice Chair Vo.
Thank you. And I think just adding to Councilmember Gatt, I think if you can show, like, once we, the conversation with TVG, like, why they're doing it, why there is no cost and how they plan to recoup, it would make it a lot easier because, we want to see numbers, we want to see
Absolutely.
like, why they think this is a great investment for them.
Again, that was the goal for today.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, they
this has
couldn't be
been
here,
great. Yeah,
so
this is-
you would have been able to
wonderful.
have all
It's a great
those.
Look, this is a process,
Yeah.
right? And so,
Yeah.
and keep coming up with the questions, keep asking the questions, we'll keep digging the
I
answers for
appreciate you being here. Thank you
Of
for
course.
making sure they're here and not everything always works out on calendars, but this is helpful. Thank you.
Well, don't worry, we'll make sure that someone will be present so you can hear, and also see what they, I mean, just on their own, just spitballing, this is without us saying, because this is where the public-private partnership comes in, is us putting in $1 million to say, okay, here's the feasibility study, say what our need is for the city. This is it, and then them providing the answers to that study, where they go and they raise that 30 million, that's not coming from us, that's not us having to do any additional Hunger Games in trying to get a space that has been neglected for way too long. I feel like a lot of our time is spent right now with departments that haven't been paid attention to because they haven't been cool, they haven't been fun, and we're leaving money on the table.
Yeah, we
That's
just
the
need
biggest
to
thing.
make sure that since it's such a long-term relationship, that what we're getting into is something
of
we can
course.
live with for 25, 30 years.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I would like it to be 15 or 20.
Yeah, shorter the better. The shorter the
But
better.
that's me, right? We'll see what happens.
Well, I appreciate you coming, Mr. McDaniel.
Absolutely,
If you want,
glad
you can
to be
stay
here.
and listen to our conversation about renaming this committee. But if not,
I've got kids I have to pick up.
feel free, exactly. Take care.
Quick point on Naval, if you would like to sign on as a co-sponsor, you can do that by emailing the clerk.
On what?
On the
Co-sponsor on the Naval Reserve Training Facility.
Thank you kindly.
I mean, aren't we all already on it?
I think I did. I think
You
I'm
guys
I'm on
are, I
it.
don't,
Bo's on it.
I don't,
Are you on it?
I'm behind.
okay, so you're all.
Okay.
So no, not yet.
Okay. If
But
you
I
want
do
to,
like that
just
a lot.
you,
Not a
can,
big
you don't even
deal.
have to email him. You could actually walk up to him before the meeting and say, "Hey, can you add
I'm
me
not
to
sure I've
the
ever
bill?"
met him face to face.
He's the quietest person on the planet.
I can introduce you.
Be a great
He's
meeting.
really nice.
So, okay. We talked about this before.
Wallen just walked in and said, "Is this GovOps?" And I'm like, "No, it's actually public facilities, arts, and culture." And he
And you
looks
were
at
like,
me
and
like,
he was like, "What are you talking
enough
about?"
to know that it's not where I'm supposed
Exactly.
to be. You cannot
Tell
say the
people-
name of this committee. You
No.
can't. It's not
So-
saleable.
I just want the words library.
When we
and
came
parks
in-
here.
Well, it was there, and
I
so
know.
it was.
That's why I asked for
library
it.
parks and it was library parks and arts.
Yeah.
And then it shifted. So here's what we said when we first started talking about this. There was culture, library, arts, and parks. Arts, libraries, parks, venues. Arts, culture, and public venues. Arts, culture, and public facilities. Those are the ones that we had thus far.
I said Parks and Rec.
I know. You
Do
did
we
say
need
Parks
the
and Rec.
culture?
Does culture need to
Do
stay?
we really
No,
need
not.
culture?
We could.
Parks and
I
Rec.
am, the culture thing, again, that was a conversation that came up last term. So that's why we're having the conversation right now. If we don't want culture, we don't have to have culture. But what does it say? What does
What are we
this
supposed to
committee
be
need to be called?
viewing? We're supposed to be going over arts, libraries, parks, greenway.
That
Public
also
venues,
includes the public venues, i.e.
And
a
venues.
municipal auditorium,
Ascend.
all of
Farmers
So
that.
market.
venues.
All of that,
So it could
which
be
is why
venues.
venues is my
Venues
preference. Facilities feels like restrooms to me every single time.
Yes.
And as I said, it was going to be called arts, culture, and something else. And then Angie was like, but it needs to be public facilities, and that's how it ended up
Okay.
getting
We
changed.
Scrap that.
So
Arts, public, venues, and what else?
Well, it's,
Libraries
first of
and
all,
parks.
the word public should be, I mean, we're.
I just don't feel like it's not in any other,
Well, but-
it's not in any other committee
I think
name.
My
it's
point is, it's
understood.
redundant.
Yeah, it's a given.
I
Because
know.
it's a government, that's what that's where
So,
public facing.
Arts, venues, parks, and libraries.
Arts, parks, libraries, and venues.
Arts, parks.
we could like mix those up into some just and go by an acronym.
Make an acronym like play.
And like everybody will know.
Okay,
Everybody
but
knows.
now we're all like playing with ours.
An
Some of the acronyms here.
APL. I mean A.
Play.
I mean whatever it
I would
is.
say play, but what would the Y be?
And what was the other?
Okay.
The parks,
Hold on.
library, arts, and,
You.
you know.
Okay,
And venues need to
arts,
be in there.
If we do facilities, it could be APLF. That's not bad.
Yeah.
what did you say?
Arts,
Arts,
libraries.
parks, libraries, facilities.
That does sound like
Parks.
bathrooms.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right.
Libraries.
That sounds. is that
So we've got
better?
arts, venues, parks, and libraries.
Arts, parks, libraries.
We have play, but like, which would be very great, which would be great, but we have to figure out another word for venues. Cause it's PLA.
Plav. I mean, let's just call it
Oh,
Plav.
the
Like the P,
play.
you're on the PLA
What if we
committee.
do this? Oh, that's great too. It works for me. But you could do, not trying to, but if you did the play, you could be parks, libraries, arts, and your venues.
McGillicuddy, okay.
Or we could do
Your
I like
venues.
it.
Thank you.
sites and make it slap.
Slap.
I don't know that this is
really-
a good idea, but it might be a good idea.
Slap?
What is it?
Slap
No, the
or something
acronym,
else.
the acronym theory.
Hot tequila.
What
Play.
is it?
Your
Mark,
venues.
hot tequila.
Oh, okay, arts, venues, okay, all right, so we have the four. Are we in agreement that
But
that we
venues
like
goes
those?
under, and parks, are we saying that greenways go under parks?
Yes.
Okay, just
They go hand in hand.
Even though they have a
I
separate.
think venues is too nebulous myself.
But then how would you describe Ascend, Municipal Auditorium,
I feel like there has to
let's
be another
even
word.
Farmers market.
that as well?
Oh.
Because you can't,
But when you
Those are also
first heard the
places
word
that people-
venues, did you think of all those places?
Oh,
I don't think you
But
did.
no
I
one-
don't think it's
Stretch.
broad, you know what I mean?
it's a stretch. You're not gonna like it.
oh,
APLE, arts, parks, libraries,
Apple.
etc.
or
But
entertainment.
it's Apple or entertainment.
Yeah.
Because entertainment isn't, I mean, it does encompass,
The
like you
farmers
do.
market.
That doesn't
They have
capture.
performances there all summer long. Think about the black market. They have performances right outside while they're having all of the vending taking place.
Does the fairgrounds
So you
happen over here too? It would be under here, like,
No,
so fairgrounds is separate?
wait,
It's owned by
Well,
the
I'm trying
arts,
to think if
hold on,
fairgrounds
doesn't
have ever
does the
come
word
here.
arts not include entertainment?
not necessarily.
Well, not necessarily.
it could be-
Entertainment
like,
doesn't
it could
necessarily
be-
include farmers
it could
markets,
be-
but you're kind of making the same.
I'm trying to make this as simple
And arts and
as
entertainment kind of
possible.
goes together.
Yeah,
It's
that's
the whole,
what I was
like,
thinking too.
parks, arts, you know,
Yeah.
parks, libraries, arts
Look
and
at Apple,
entertainment.
arts,
Well,
parks,
then what about
libraries.
PAL?
You know,
Parks,
Actually, I sort
parks,
of
arts,
like
and
that.
libraries.
Police
Arts,
athletic
arts.
league.
Like that, the piece.
Oh my god.
I really want arts to be first because I fought for this for like
Yeah,
4
entertainment.
years.
So do Apple,
Peel.
APL,
APL is a pretty good acronym.
What is it?
Parks,
APL,
libraries?
arts, parks, libraries.
But are we leaving out?
And entertainment.
Well,
Pale.
arts,
No, because
I mean,
you said entertainment goes
part
under
of
arts.
I mean, entertainment's
All
part of
that goes
arts.
under arts.
Okay, so hold on. Arts,
That's what I was
parks,
thinking too.
libraries.
Okay.
Is that what it
APL,
is?
that's kind of
Parks, arts, libraries,
arts
PAL.
and entertainment.
Parks and rec. I mean,
APLAE.
everyone would know.
We don't
We're
know.
trying for a good acronym.
Everyone would
I like
know.
starting with
Parks,
the word
parks, and
because it's a
libraries.
single,
Parks and
it's a
rec.
single,
Arts, parks, and library
and
committee.
it's harder for, you know, to roll
Yeah.
off your tongue.
That's
It could be Apple.
okay.
Apple.
Okay.
An Apple.
Yeah, that is much pithier
Okay.
too.
I mean, because you want arts first.
I do because that's
I know,
the first
I'm
thing
sorry.
people keep trying to get rid of. And then we end up talking about Metro Arts and a bunch
Well,
of other
also-
janky stuff that should have been fixed. I get heated.
Okay.
I get passionate about
Arts, parks.
This would have to go through
Libraries and
rules, right, to
entertainment?
actually happen.
Which, right, that's
Okay.
why I want to get it in this year and not like
Yeah.
Arts, parks, libraries.
kick it down the.
Is that what we're doing? APL?
Arts, parks, and libraries. No more
I do
culture.
like the E is for
No
etc.
venues.
Well, venues go under
I mean-
arts. Is that what we're saying?
I mean, I guess that's how they
Because the sin would
assumed
go
that it
under
was
parks. I
before.
mean, like, you could mix and
Because
match.
nothing was mentioned about, like, anything it's just libraries, parks, and arts, so whatever, but again, that became kind of the catch-all bucket of like, whatever, so you
Well,
didn't
venues
talk
that have
about
certain
it.
uses, right? The venues that have uses that fall under arts.
But I think that's kind of what, I will say, I don't hate venues just because that does make people think, public venues, what are those? So is that, what?
Apple.
It could be APL.
No, I like APL. It just-
APLC for culture.
Arts, parts, libraries.
that
We're out of
include-
here.
Art, culture, yeah, they don't- they-
No, but like the farmer's
Like
market.
Arts, parks, libraries, and leisure. It's like we incorporate like the farmer's market and outdoor things and greenways.
Leisure.
Apple, and you can even
Apple.
entertainment in
but
there
the
too. If
farmer's
you wanted a
market.
real apple. You know?
So leisure, people go there, go grocery shopping, go out to eat.
Yeah.
So then leisure is the equivalent of going
The
to
lawyer in
concerts.
Brenda's going, oh no.
That is
Now,
leisure.
here's a lawyer too. It's like, it's just
That is
killing
a
me. How do you
leisure
define
thing.
leisure?
Leisure
I'm like, just
shows.
defining leisure and then.
But then we're going Apple. That's
Okay.
too much.
Apple.
Okay. This much
How about we just
APL?
move farmer's
Also,
market to
PAL
another
would be
committee
good.
and
PAL
solve
is
the
awesome.
problem?
But she wants arts first, which is
Arts.
Can we
I'm just saying park, but then arts is in the middle, it's like safe.
And it
Yeah,
connects it.
it's being held.
It'll
It's
never
being
be
held by
bothered
parks and
again.
libraries. How?
McGillicuddy.
I know. I love it.
What?
And tampons, apparently.
And tampons.
Okay, all right. Kotex, Lord. Okay, so
It's an untapped
We did-
I'm
market.
into it.
Did you say they
We have
were
to
selling the naming rights or the?
no,
No.
they're not. And
That's what I
TVG
thought.
has no interest in changing anything. Like, they literally just want to raise the money in the same
then
way that
make
they
it-
did Orion.
And then make a little margin. Yeah.
But they have someone come in, so it takes the onus off of us. Let's be clear about the things that we don't do well, and that's almost 90% of everything as a government. So we want to have a public venue where we want concerts to go. Somehow we want to be in charge of it. We're not good at running anything else, and we don't prioritize the arts. Like, all of those things together don't sound like we need to put our foot more in it. We need to figure out how to trust somebody to be able to run it and not to make money off of it.
Yeah, just do our due diligence, make sure that it.
Exactly. And there isn't
Pencils.
anyone else that has come to the table and said, we're happy to do all of the fundraising. This is our part that we're putting in, is the 1 million to do the feasibility study.
Those venues for that purpose. I mean, we could be reusing them for housing.
Absolutely not, because we actually need the municipal auditorium. It's historic, and
I
we
know.
should still be able to have concerts.
We also need housing. I'm just
Well, we
saying that
can
there's a
find
larger
land for that.
conversation.
We got land, we can figure that out, but we can't get rid of artistic venues in order to do that.
I'm not saying get rid of it, but if you're, you're just foreclosing on what a, particular use could be when you're thinking about what the community needs. I don't know. I mean, I just think you should have a larger conversation.
And like build housing, is that what you're suggesting as an option to municipal auditorium? Because we need housing, to throw housing on top of municipal?
Sure. Whatever. If that fixes it, I'm gonna be okay with it.
Yeah, let's have an elevator and then have it on top of the
Oh
elevator.
no, and that way you're just gonna go down right in the center. Everyone
Brian
can-
Center just like an artist.
Oh my God.
Stop it.
That would be so great.
Okay, I have to ask Councilmember Sepulveda what the process is, but it's a rule change that we can submit, that they would talk about, and we then just take it to the floor as an individual vote, and it would just be this one committee versus the whole swath that we did before of renaming all the committees, which clearly has not worked out well.
Did we stop at parks, art, I mean.
Are we
arts,
okay with that? Does that
Arts,
encompass-
parks, libraries, is there a fourth one? I know there's not culture. I'm not gonna ask about culture. Culture is out the window, it's dead on arrival. Got it.
Well, do we
Do
want to
people
have
like
like
leisure? Do you need a
entertainment or something like that?
But we just said that then people said that arts and entertainment were.
Well, then maybe people will think of, visual arts, that kind of stuff, and then they'll think of, other,
That's kind of
a
how
fair
I
point.
look at
to make it like
arts.
broader, to make people really realize this is what we're talking about, all of these
Arts.
different things. Arts, parks, libraries, and entertainment.
I thought we just had this whole conversation.
We did, but then she
Entertainment
said that entertainment was included. You said that entertainment, you started, then she finished, now she's changed her mind. Now she's on my side, I like it.
Oh, well, no, I never thought they should necessarily be together. I mean, they could work, but I just think the more, the name of the committee can actually give people the real idea of what this
Of what
committee
this
deals
committee
with.
does.
Because I think everything's just so broad, like people just don't necessarily think
Well, I
of.
think
That's
even
pale.
naming the individual, first of all, talking about,
Parks.
parks and libraries is helpful,
And entertainment.
right?
Is
Because
that the look?
Or
we want?
LEAP,
The pale committee?
Leap.
libraries, entertainment, arts, and
LEAP.
parks.
Leap.
libraries,
Entertainment, arts, parks. Leap.
There you go.
The Leap Committee.
And this is a leap year.
Not doing it. I just fought for too long.
I'm
Just
just
not
saying,
doing
it
it.
sounds-
No, they're just not doing it. They start with
doing
arts.
Not doing
Not
it.
even for a
Not
superior
just-
acronym.
That is a superior
Not an
acronym.
acronym. Eight
Are we
people
done?
next
It's not
week
gonna
in
work.
committees.
Eight-
I'd
oh.
rather just say all the
so-
names. It was just like 4 words. It's better than like
woman, or have you
library,
come
parks,
to a
arts,
conclusion
whatever.
of what you're
Please.
willing to submit?
How about plea? Parks, libraries, arts, and
I
entertainment.
That's
You
all,
need money.
that's all we're doing is waiting anyways.
Like the arts, parks, library, and entertainment. I'm actually
let's
not mad
add
at that
a
because it
D.
includes Ascend and municipal and farmers market because there are performances there as well as vending
Think of
food.
Farmers market as performance location.
If you go to the markets,
Oh, I do.
and the people are there.
I'm at
You been
the
to the
farm-
black market?
Yes.
The black market?
Are you at the one every, once a week over here?
It's coming
Yes,
to
I'm
the
at the one in my
fair.
district as well. Have you been the one over my district?
The
No.
Black Market is coming to the fairgrounds.
Yay.
For
Are
Black
they?
History Month. Yep, for the 10th and 11th.
All right, do you have something that we can live with? Are we voting on this, or so we can?
So are we doing arts, parks, libraries, and entertainment?
I like
Which is
that.
off doing.
That's fine.
Yeah, I like that.
That's fine, that sounds good.
It's better than what we have
Apple.
now.
And, yeah.
Anything's better than what we've got right
It
now, which
actually
is like
names two-
restrooms and everything else, basically.
At least it names 2 critical parts that we're doing, which is libraries
Arts,
and parks.
parks,
Three.
libraries.
Arts, parks, and
It was
libraries.
already named arts.
But it was library, well, that, for
this-
you all, yes, for this
thank you
iteration.
for,
Yes.
like, recognizing
Yes.
4 of us that are talking.
Yes.
But for us, it's walking in here.
It was horrible. Yeah, I'm sorry that
That's
you
what
walked
we're
into
aware of.
that. Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Restrooms.
Or do we need to
Yeah.
vote or do something
We
about it?
well, we can. Can I get a motion to vote on this?
And it's APLE. Is
So
that what you
moved.
said?
You're gonna,
Wait,
You said, can I get a motion? So-
okay. Who's gonna
Second.
second it?
Second.
Second.
It is Apple.
I'm surprised that you did
We're
not.
still doing Apple.
Okay.
We need to make
don't
the
like
motion to
it?
make sure we all are on the same page of what the name actually
I mean,
means.
our other one is better.
We've had a few.
Which we did. Which we did. Okay. So, all in favor
Even though play is better.
Of arts, parks, libraries, and entertainment.
or et cetera.
No, we'll get funding from Apple because we are Apple.
Yeah. Do we need that?
Connections, come on.
Not a trademark violation.
What just happened? Okay. All in
Apple.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
We
Any
lost 2 people
opposed?
though.
We're majority, so we're still at the majority. Okay. No one abstaining. Okay, awesome, passes. I'm emailing whomever to give to Sepulveda,
Okay.
and it'll come up.
Sounds good.
With that, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to
Okay.
adjourn.
Second? All right, we're adjourned.
Oh, and I just want to throw out there,
Get us off